In the quiet village of Obukpa, red earth coated everything. Feet, walls, even the wind. Amaka woke, just 22, moved like a shadow in her father's compound. Her fingers were raw from pounding yam, her back sore from hours under the sun in their cassava farm. Since her mother died, her father, Pan Woke, had become a ghost of the man he once was. Once a respected headmaster, he now spent his days drunk on Burukutu, spewing curses and staggering through the compound. And then came Mama Ngozi, the woman he married in haste. She hated Amaka with the quiet fire of jealousy. No food unless chores were done. No mattress, just a worn mat beside the smoky kitchen. The neighbors looked on with pity, but no one dared speak. Pan Woke had a temper that silenced even the elders. That evening, while Amaka was sweeping the front yard, a young man walked up, his shirt damp, feet dusty. It was Nsukka, the man helping on her father's farm. He had worked for months without pay. "I need my money today," Nsukka said, his voice firm. Pan Woke belched and pointed at Amaka. "Take her." Nsukka blinked. "Take who?" "My daughter. That's your payment." Amaka dropped the broom. Her chest tightened. "Papa, please," she whispered. "Shut up," he barked. Mama Ngozi folded her arms, lips curled. "Let her go. One less mouth." Amaka knelt, weeping, but her father turned away. Nsukka stood still, staring at her. "I'll take her," he said quietly. Just like that, Amaka's life changed. She packed a few clothes in a nylon bag. No hug, no goodbye. Only her little brother Obina, hiding behind the shed, waved through tears. As the bus drove out of Obukpa, Amaka whispered to the heavens, "Please, let this man be kind." Nsukka Abi stayed ahead as the bus rumbled toward Enugu city. Beside him, Amaka sat silently, clutching her nylon bag like it held her entire life. Her eyes stayed fixed on the window, but he could feel her pain, tight, quiet, and ancient. He hadn't planned any of this. He came to Obukpa searching for distance, from family expectations, from heartbreak. Working Pan Woke's farm gave him a place to disappear, to think. But when the man offered up his own daughter as payment, Nsukka had seen something in Amaka's trembling hands and unspoken courage that he couldn't walk away from. He glanced at her. The harsh village life hadn't dimmed her beauty. But it wasn't just her face, it was the strength in her silence. The quiet way she endured. The bus swerved past Holy Ghost Cathedral, then into New Haven, where the city roared with life. Traffic, hawkers, yellow tricycles zigzagging like flies. Amaka shrank into her seat. "It's okay," he said softly. She nodded, eyes wide. They stopped in Independence Layout, outside a white-gated compound tucked behind bougainvillea bushes. A security guard nodded at Nsukka and let them in. "This is where I live," he said, leading her to a neat boys' quarters behind the main mansion. Inside, a sitting room, a small kitchen, a clean bed with folded sheets. No holes in the roof. No shouting. Amaka stood in the doorway, eyes glistening. "I just started a job here, security work," Nsukka explained. "The madam is kind. She let me stay for free." Amaka turned slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "If this is peace, then maybe God hasn't forgotten me." He smiled. "Are you okay with it?" She nodded. "For the first time in years, I feel safe." Obin woke, just 8 years old, sat behind the firewood shed, knees hugged to his chest. Smoke drifted from the evening cooking fire, but he didn't blink. His big sister, Amaka, was packing her things. He didn't understand everything, but he knew she was leaving. For good. Mama Ngozi had told him to stay inside. "Go and sleep," she hissed, banging pots. But he crept out anyway. He needed to see her, even if just one last time. She came out with her plastic bag, face tight but dry. She looked strong, but Obi knew the truth. Amaka never cried where people could see. Only at night, when she thought he was asleep. Pa was already snoring on his bamboo chair, empty calabash of burukutu by his side. The man beside her, Nsukka, stood like a tall tree, silent and firm. They walked past the house. Obi peeked from behind the shed, blinking back tears. Amaka paused. Their eyes met. She smiled, a soft, tired smile, then raised her hand and waved, small, slow, as if to say be brave. Obi waved back with both hands, his chest shaking. He wanted to shout, to run to her, but he didn't, because if he did, Mema Ngozi would come with the cane. The gate creaked open. A Danfo engine sputtered, then faded into the distance. She was gone. That night, as the crickets sang and the moonlight washed over their broken zinc roof, Obinna lay on his mat, whispering to the darkness, "God, please let my sister find happiness. She deserves it more than anyone." And though no one heard him, the prayer rose like smoke into the quiet sky over Obukpa. Madame Ifeyinwa Abiy stood on the polished marble floor of her veranda, sipping tea from a china cup. The Enugu sun was gentle that morning, and the scent of hibiscus from her garden filled the air. Life in Independence layout was calm, orderly, predictable, until her son, Nsukka, knocked at her door with a girl beside him. The girl was thin, her wrapper faded, her eyes hollow but alert. Not city-broken, village-worn. Nsukka's voice was quiet. "This is Amaka, my wife." Ifeyinwa raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She had learned to read her first son's moods long ago. This wasn't rebellion, it was something else. "Come inside, my dear," she said warmly, watching the girl's fingers tremble slightly as she stepped in. The living room welcomed them with quiet elegance, cream furniture, ancestral portraits, and the low hum of a ceiling fan. Amaka sat on the edge of the seat like someone waiting to be sent away. Ifeyinwa noted everything. Her posture, her soft yes ma, the way her eyes darted without ever meeting hers. But there was a sweetness to her, a strength, something she couldn't name. "You're welcome," she said, touching Amaka's hand gently. "This house is big enough for peace." And she meant it. In the days that followed, she watched Amaka from a distance, how she cooked quietly in the boys' quarters, helped the cleaners sweep the compound without being told, and bowed slightly each time their paths crossed. One afternoon, after Amaka helped carry groceries in from the car, Ifeyinwa called her close. "You've been a blessing here," she said, "and I see your heart." Amaka smiled shyly. Ifeyinwa smiled back, but behind her calm eyes, a question stirred. Who exactly is this girl my son has chosen? And why does she feel like a mirror of someone I used to be? Kenichukwu Abiy leaned against the marble kitchen doorway, arms folded, gold bracelet glinting under the light. The scent of simmering ogbono hit him first, rich, thick, spiced just right. Then he saw her, Amaka. She didn't notice him at first. Her wrapper was tied tight, hair pulled back, hands graceful as they stirred. Not flashy, not loud, just woman. "Damn," he said, breaking the silence. She turned quickly, startled. "Good afternoon, sir." "Sir? Come on, I'm not that old. Call me Keen," he said, stepping in. She returned to slicing okra, eyes down. Keen smirked. He loved this game. The shy ones always said no first, until they didn't. "You know," he began, voice dropping, "my mum told me you were smart and respectful. But she forgot to say you're fine as hell. God must have taken his time." She stiffened. "I can change your life, Amaka," he said. "Forget my brother. Come with me. New phone, designer clothes. Canada if you want. You'll never have to lift a finger again." She didn't speak, just stirred slower. He moved closer. "You're wasting time with a security guard." Then she spoke, voice steady. "I'm not for sale, sir." He blinked. She turned fully to face him now. "I won't trade dignity for comfort. I love my husband." Keen chuckled coldly. "Love? You'll regret this." Her eyes didn't flinch. "If loyalty is a mistake, I'll keep making it." He left, rage simmering under his cologne. But in the quiet hum of the kitchen fan, her words echoed louder than his footsteps. "I'm not for sale." The next morning, Amaka woke up with a weight in her chest. Not fear, resolve. She had tried to ignore Keen's words, to pretend the kitchen encounter never happened. But his voice lingered like smoke. "You'll regret this." And what hurt more was Madame Ifeyinwa's silence. Did she know? Did she approve? As she folded Nsukka's shirts that afternoon, Her hands shook. She couldn't keep quiet any longer. By evening, she tied her scarf and walked straight to the main house. The golden handle felt colder than usual. She knocked. Madame Ifeinwa opened the door, her face brightening. "Amaka, my dear, come in." Amaka stepped in, heart pounding. "Ma, I came to talk. Please don't be angry." "Of course not. It's about your son, Keen. He's been disturbing me, making offers, money, school abroad. Even said he could get Nsukka out of the way." Silence. Amaka continued. "I respect you, but I can't live like this. I won't betray my husband." Madame Ifeinwa's smile faltered. "My son only sees your potential. You deserve more. Think about it. Comfort, education, a better life." Amaka rose to her feet. Her voice trembled, but not with fear. "I'm not that kind of woman, Ma. I married Nsukka when I had nothing. He gave me peace when the world gave me pain." Her eyes burned now. "I'd rather leave this house than be bought like a car at a street corner." Madame Ifeinwa looked stunned. Amaka curtsied lightly. "Thank you for the job, Ma. But if this continues, we will go." And with that, she turned and walked out. Tears gathered in her eyes, but her spine stayed straight. For the first time in her life, she chose herself. When Nsukka returned from his errands that evening, he met Amaka sitting quietly on the edge of the bed. Her eyes were red, but her voice was calm. "Your brother came to me again," she said. Nsukka stiffened. "What did he say?" She told him everything. Keen's promises, threats, and the conversation with Madame Ifeinwa. By the time she finished, his jaw was tight, fists clenched. "I'll protect you," he said. But Amaka touched his hand gently. "You already have. I stood up for us, Nsukka. I told them I'd rather leave than lose myself." He looked at her, something softening in his chest. There was no more hiding. "Amaka," he said, sitting beside her, "there's something I need to confess." She turned slowly. "My name, my work. I lied." She blinked. "Lied how?" He took a breath. "Keen is not just my boss's son. He's my younger brother, and Madame Ifeinwa is my mother." Amaka stayed at him, stunned. "I needed to know if someone could love me without the wealth, without the name. I've been used too many times. So I went to a bukpa to escape. And then, I met you." Silence. Then Amaka stood, arms folded. "You lied to test me." "I did," he whispered, guilt heavy on his tongue. "But I fell in love with you honestly." She shook her head, then smirked. "You owe me." He looked up. "What?" "A mansion and a car, minimum," she said. Nsukka burst out laughing. "Consider it done." She laughed too, falling into his arms. That night, they didn't talk much. They simply lay there, hands intertwined, breathing together. The truth had come out, and love had stayed. Amaka stood on the graduation stage at UNEC, white coat crisp, eyes shimmering. The crowd clapped, but one voice rose above the rest. "That's my wife, Dr. Amaka Bees." Nsukka, in a navy blue agbada, nearly knocked over two chairs cheering. She found him in the crowd, smiling like it was their wedding day. Years had passed since Obukba, since that old nylon bag, since the night pawn work traded her away. But today, she stood tall, qualified, seen, and free. Later, Nsukka blindfolded her in the car. "Where are we going?" she asked, laughing. "You'll see." He stopped in Gulf Estate, opened a golden gate, and led her forward. Then he untied the scarf. Before her stood a gleaming white mansion, trimmed with gold, surrounded by a manicured garden. Her breath caught. "Nsukka, I promised you a house," he said, handing her the keys. "Here it is, my queen." She threw her arms around him, tears and laughter tangled. "Wait," she said, stepping back. "I have news too." "What is it?" "I'm pregnant." Nsukka froze, then shouted so loud the security man clapped from outside. "You're serious?" She nodded. 3 months. He knelt, kissed her belly, voice trembling. "My baby. My love. Thank you." They stood in the driveway, hugging beneath the Enugu sun. From red soil to royalty. From matte floors to marble tiles. from being sold to being loved deeply. Amaka rested her head on Nsukka's chest and whispered, "Truly, my name is Amaka, because my life has become beautiful."